The lights went off, and just as Yoon tried to turn on the emergency lights panel, a bullet tore through the kitchen window, missing Zara Mensa's head by inches. She dropped to the tiled floor, her pregnant belly pressed against the cold marble as shattered glass rained down like deadly confetti. Above her, Yoon removed his gun and returned fire with surgical precision, his body positioned as a shield between her and the elegantly dressed woman in the doorway of the penthouse, his wife. Mrs. Young stood flanked by armed men, her silk Chanel suit spotless, her smile dripping venom. "Did you really think you could hide your little Ghanaian cook and her bastard from me?" Her voice was ice wrapped in cruelty. Taeyoon's response was another perfectly aimed shot. "She's carrying my heir. Touch her, and I'll erase your entire bloodline." Welcome to Soft Loft Original Stories Besties. Please, if you are love stories, then press the like, share and subscribe button. Let's continue please. Blood sprayed across the imported Italian tiles as one gunman crumpled. Zara's hands instinctively cradled her 7-month belly, feeling the baby kick frantically as if sensing the violence surrounding them. Her blue maternity gown was now stained with plaster dust and fear. This wasn't supposed to happen. None of this was supposed to happen. She was supposed to cook specialized meals for a powerful CEO with undisclosed health conditions, collect her substantial paycheck, and save enough to bring her parents from Accra to Busan, to send home funds for her younger brother's surgery back in Ghana and further her education instead. She was carrying the child of South Korea's most dangerous businessman whose name was Yoon Tae-yoon, while his vengeful ex-wife tried to murder them both. Tae-yoon moved like a trained killer, each motion efficient and deadly. 2 more shots. 2 more bodies hit the ground. Mrs. Young's confident smile finally cracked as she realized. Her hired assassins were no match for her ex-husband. "This isn't over," she hissed, as she ran backwards, her designer heels clicking frantically as she retreated. "That child will never be recognized. I'll make sure of it." Tae-yoon didn't chase her. Instead, he holstered his weapon and dropped to his knees beside Zara, his hands surprisingly gentle as they swept over her trembling body. "Are you hurt? The baby?" His voice, usually commanding boardrooms and terrifying rivals, shook with naked fear. Zara shook her head, tears streaming down her dark cheeks. "We're okay. We're both okay." He pulled her against his chest, and for a moment, the most feared man in Busan looked completely human. Vulnerable. Terrified. "I almost lost you," he whispered into her natural curls. "Both of you." Sirens wailed in the distance. His security team would handle the cleanup. They always did. But Zara couldn't stop shaking. Couldn't stop wondering how a simple job cooking nutritionally balanced meals had transformed into this nightmare of bullets, blood, and impossible love. Tae-yoon lifted her carefully, carrying her away from the carnage toward the panic room he'd installed 3 months ago when he'd first learned about the pregnancy. "I need to get you somewhere safe. Somewhere she can never find you." Zara closed her eyes, letting his warmth anchor her spiraling thoughts. 8 months ago, Zara was just his chef. She recalled everything with accuracy. It had been raining that night. Yes, rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Houndy penthouse, casting shadows that danced like ghosts across the marble floors. Zara pressed herself against the dining room wall, her heart thundering so violently she was certain they'd hear it through the mahogany door. She'd come to collect the dinner dishes, nothing more. But the voices inside the private dining room had stopped her cold. "Just one night. Please." The voice belonged to Yoon Tae-yoon, CEO of Houndy Holdings. The man whose name made politicians tremble and competitors disappear. The man she'd been cooking for these past 3 months. But this voice didn't sound like it commanded empires. This voice sounded broken. Zara held her breath, knowing she should leave but unable to move. Through the crack in the door, she saw him. The man whose strict dietary requirements had brought her to this penthouse. On his knees before his wife. Mrs. Young stood at the window in a towel, champagne glass steady in her manicured hand, staring out at Busan's glittering skyline. "Get up," she said, her tone colder than the rain outside. "You're embarrassing yourself. I need an heir. Our families expect it. Your family needs it." His desperation was palpable. "I married your power, not your bloodline." Mrs. Jung's words fell like guillotine blades. Zara's stomach dropped. She should run. Should pretend she'd heard nothing. But her feet refused to move. Tae-yoon rose slowly, his jaw tight with barely contained emotion. "What are you saying?" His wife finally turned, and the smile on her face was pure poison. "I'm saying your name dies with you, and there's nothing you can do about it." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Zara's breath caught as the full weight of what she'd heard settled over her. She'd heard too much. Everything was about to change. The next words from Mrs. Jung cut deeper than any blade her husband had ever wielded in his ruthless business dealings. "I've been taking the pills for 4 years," she said, her voice casual, almost amused. "Every single day. Did you really think I wanted to ruin this body for your legacy?" Zara's hand flew to her mouth, stifling a gasp. Tae-yoon stood frozen, his broad shoulders rigid beneath his tailored suit. The man who never showed weakness, who never flinched during hostile takeovers or death threats, looked like he'd been shot through the heart. "You what?" Mrs. Jung took another sip of champagne, savoring his devastation. "Oh, don't look so shocked. You got your trophy wife for the cameras. I got access to your empire and unlimited spending. Fair trade, wouldn't you say?" She examined her perfect manicure. "But a baby? That was never part of the deal. Our marriage contract means nothing if I simply can't conceive." How tragic. Her laugh was hollow, cruel. "And in 2 more years, when I've secured my position in your organization, when half your board answers to me instead of you, I'll leave with enough money to buy my own empire." "You won't get away with this." Tae-yoon's voice was deadly quiet. "Won't I? You can't touch me. My family's protection is ironclad. Hurt me and you start a war you can't win." She set down her glass with a delicate clink that sounded like shattering dreams. "Your bloodline ends with you, Tae-yoon. And watching you realize it has been the most entertaining part of this marriage." She walked past him without another glance, her heels clicking against the marble like nails in a coffin. "Your name dies with you." The door slammed shut. Zara finally moved, her legs shaking as she backed away from the dining room. She'd only taken 3 steps when her shoulder collided with the elaborate meal she'd prepared. Grilled sea bass with specially calculated nutrients for his undisclosed condition, arranged artfully on imported china. The tray wobbled. She lunged for it, but her trembling fingers couldn't grip the edge. Everything crashed to the floor in a spectacular explosion of porcelain, fish, and sauce. The sound echoed through the penthouse like a gunshot. The dining room door flew open. Tae-yoon stood in the doorway, his eyes finding her immediately. His face was a mask again, cold, controlled, unreadable. But his eyes looked like they'd witnessed the end of everything. Zara stood frozen in the wreckage of the meal, fish and broken china scattered around her feet like evidence of her eavesdropping. Fortunately, Mrs. Jung had already disappeared. Into the master bathroom, her furious footsteps echoing down the opposite hallway. Only Tae-yoon had heard the crash. Only he knew. "How long have you been standing there?" His voice was calm, but underneath lurked something dangerous. Zara's mouth went dry. I just came to collect the dishes, sir. I didn't mean to, don't lie to me." The words weren't loud, but they hit like a physical force. She'd seen what happened to people who lied to young Tae-yoon. She'd overheard phone calls where competitors who'd deceived him simply disappeared. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "I heard everything." Silence stretched between them like a chasm. Rain continued its assault on the windows. Then he nodded once, a decision made. "Come to my office. Now." Her legs moved on instinct, carrying her past the ruined meal, through hallways she'd walked 100 times while delivering his carefully prepared dishes, into the office where he conducted the business that made grown men weep. The door closed behind her with a soft click that sounded like a judge's gavel. Tae-yoon walked to the window, his back to her. The city lights of Busan spread below them like a kingdom. "You'll tell no one what you heard tonight." "I won't. I swear I'm not finished." He turned to face her, and something in his expression made her throat tighten. It wasn't anger. It was something worse. Defeat mixed with desperate calculation. You've worked here for 3 months. You've been loyal, discreet, professional.
Even noticed.
Zara didn't know what to say to that. She'd taken this job because it paid 3 times what any normal chef position offered. Because the contract promised substantial bonuses that would cover her parents' immigration fees and her own school debts. Because cooking specialized meals for a powerful CEO seemed safer than the alternatives available to a Ghanaian immigrant in South Korea. I'm going to ask you something, Tae-yoon continued, moving closer. And I need you. Think very carefully before you answer. He stopped 2 feet away, and she fought the urge to step back. Do you have problems I can solve? Does your family depends on you? The question caught her off guard. My parents. Back in Accra. I'm trying to bring them here. The immigration fees are. How much? Sir. How much do you need? For immigration. For everything. His eyes burned into hers with unsettling intensity. About $80,000, sir. But I don't understand why I'll pay it. All of it. Tonight. He pulled out his phone. I'll also cover your remaining school debts and all other financial challenges. And I'll set up a trust fund. $1 million. Untouchable. Yours. Zara's heart stopped. Her mind went completely blank. What? In exchange for your silence about what you heard tonight. He paused, his jaw working like the next words were being physically dragged out of him with chains. And something else. The air in the office changed. Became charged with something dangerous and impossible. Sir, I need an heir. His voice was flat, businesslike, but his hands clenched at his sides. My wife has made her position clear. My options are limited. The families are watching. If I don't produce an heir, everything I've built will be torn apart by vultures waiting for any sign of weakness. Zara's mind refused to process what he was suggesting. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. I'm your chef. You can't just, this is insane. I know. For the first time, his mask cracked, and she saw the desperation underneath. I know what I'm asking. I know how it sounds. But I'm running out of time and I'm running out of options. He took a step closer. Find someone else. Anyone else. There are 1,000 women who would. I need someone I can trust. Someone who understands discretion. Someone who won't use a child as leverage against me. His eyes locked onto hers with burning intensity. Someone who needs something badly enough to take this risk. The numbers echoed in her head. 80,000 for her parents' immigration. Her school debts cleared. $1 million in a trust fund that would pay for her brother's surgery. Her family would finally be safe. Finally together. No more drowning in debt. No more fear. I can't, she whispered. This is wrong. I'm not asking you to love me. I'm not asking for anything beyond one night. And if nothing comes of it, you still get the money. All of it. For your silence alone. He moved closer still. And if something does come of it, then I protect you. You and the child. For life. My resources become yours. My enemies never touch you. You'll want for nothing. Your wife will kill me. The words came out strangled. My wife is leaving. One way or another, she's already gone. Divorce papers will be filed within the month. His voice hardened. She made her choice. Now I'm making mine. Zara's hands shook. This was a line she couldn't uncross. A decision that would change absolutely everything. But $80,000 in immigration debt. Her parents still struggling in Accra. Her own student loans crushing her. Her sick brother. The opportunity to finally breathe. I need time to think. You have until tomorrow night. Here. He pulled out a business card, wrote something on the back. This is my private number. No one else has it. Call me with your answer. He held it out to her. She took it. The cardstock felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. The following morning, Zara moved through the penthouse kitchen on autopilot, preparing Tae-yoon's breakfast with mechanical precision. The card burned in her pocket. Her mind spun in endless circles. This was insane. Impossible. Wrong. But the money. God, the money would solve everything. Would give her family the life they deserved. Would free her from the debt that had crushed her since her parents' medical emergencies 2 years ago. She'd pull the card out, stare at the number, then shove it back. Over and over. Later that afternoon, while preparing his lunch, her phone rang. Unknown number. Her brother's care facility in Accra. Ms. Mensah? I'm calling about your brother. He's had another cardiac episode. We've stabilized him, but he needs specialized treatment we can't provide here. The cost would be approximately $15,000. Without it. The nurse didn't finish. She didn't have to. Zara sat in the pantry, head in her hands, and felt the last of her options evaporate. She pulled out the card. Stared at the number. Made the call. He answered on the first ring. Yes. It's me. It's Zara. Silence. Then, your answer. I need the money for my brother first. Before anything else. I need to know he's safe. I need proof you'll keep your word. Give me the facility information. It'll be handled within 2 hours. How do I know you'll? Because I keep my word. Always. It's the only thing that matters in my world. Something in his voice made her believe him. She gave him the information. 90 minutes later, the care facility called back. Her brother's bills had been paid in full. Specialized treatment had been arranged. All future medical expenses covered under an anonymous benefactor's account. Zara's phone buzzed. A text from the private number. It's done. Your brother is safe. Now. The rest of your answer. Her fingers trembled as she typed, yes. The response came immediately, tomorrow night. 10 p.m. I'll send a car. And Zara, thank you. She stared at the message until her vision blurred. What had she just agreed to? The following evening, a black Mercedes arrived exactly at 10 p.m. The driver said nothing, asked nothing. She was brought to a building she didn't recognize. Not the penthouse, somewhere else. Neutral territory. A luxury suite in one of Busan's most exclusive buildings. Tae-yoon was waiting by the window, dressed simply in black pants and a white shirt. No suit. No armor. He looked almost human. Almost vulnerable. You came. I gave my word. So did I. He gestured to the table where papers were laid out. Contracts. Legal documents. Everything is here. The payment for your brother's care. The trust fund. Your parents' immigration fees. Your school debts. Legal protections ensuring I can never touch any of it, never take it back. All ironclad. He picked up a pen, held it out to her. Sign these first. Before anything else happens. So you know you're protected regardless of what comes next. She approached slowly, scanning the documents. It was real. All of it. Every promise, legally binding. Why are you doing this? She whispered. Because I need an heir more than I need pride. He met her eyes. And because you deserve to know you're protected before anything else happens. This isn't coercion. It's a choice. Yours. Zara took the pen. Signed her name. The scratching sound felt like sealing a pact with the devil himself. Tae-yoon countersigned, then gathered the papers. These go to my lawyer tonight. By morning, everything is official. He finally looked at her, really looked at her, and she saw something unexpected in his eyes. Not desire. Not calculation. Sadness. Now I ask you one more time if you're certain. Because after this, there's no going back for either of us. Zara thought of her brother's smile. Of her parents finally being safe. Of the eviction notice she'd hidden in her drawer. Of every humiliation she'd endured trying to survive in a country that saw her as less than. I'm certain. He nodded slowly. Then stay. Or go. The choice is still yours. But know that whatever you choose, I'm grateful. She didn't leave. What happened that night remained unspoken between them. They knew their bodies even in the darkness. When dawn broke through the windows, everything had changed. He drove her back to her apartment himself the next morning. No driver. No witnesses. Take the week off, Tae-yoon said as she stepped out of the car. Paid. Rest. When you return, nothing changes in how we interact publicly. This never happened. His eyes met hers in the rearview mirror. And if there's a result, you tell me immediately. No one else. Just me. She nodded, her legs unsteady, and watched his car disappear into Busan's morning traffic. The following week passed in a haze. Zara returned to work, moving through the penthouse kitchen like a ghost. Tae-yoon barely acknowledged her. Just professional nods when their paths crossed. As if that night had never existed. But Mrs. Young noticed everything. The woman had a predator's instinct for weakness. You look tired, she remarked one afternoon, watching Zara prepare lunch. Perhaps this job is too demanding for you. Her smile was all teeth. I'd hate for you to make mistakes with my husband's special dietary needs. But something had shifted in the household's power dynamics. When Mrs. Young tried to change Zara's schedule to impossible hours, it mysteriously reverted by morning. When she attempted to dock Zara's pay for minor infractions, the accounting department overrode her. When she publicly berated Zara during a dinner party for slightly oversalted soup, 2 security guards quietly escorted Mrs. Young from the room. No explanation given. Zara realized Tae-yoon was protecting her from the shadows, even as he maintained his cold professional distance. 6 weeks later, Zara woke feeling wrong. Nauseous. Dizzy. Her period was 2 weeks late. No. She bought 3 pregnancy tests from different pharmacies across Busan. Took them in the bathroom of a coffee shop, too terrified to risk her apartment. All 3 were positive. She stared at the pink lines until they blurred, her heart hammering violently enough to crack ribs. This wasn't supposed to happen. The chances were supposed to be low. One night wasn't supposed to. Her phone buzzed. Text from the private number, "We need to talk. Tonight. Same place." He knew. Somehow he knew. The same car picked her up. Same suite. But Tae-yoon looked different now, coiled tension radiating from him like heat. He paced like a caged animal. When he finally stopped, his eyes locked onto hers with devastating intensity. "Tell me." "I'm pregnant," Zara whispered. The words hung between them like a grenade with the pin pulled. For a long moment, he didn't move. Didn't breathe. Then his shoulders sagged and he sank onto the couch, head in his hands. His fingers dug into his scalp. "Are you sure?" 3 tests. All positive. "I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow to confirm, but, how do you feel?" His voice cracked. Terrified. "I don't know what to do. I don't know how to. This wasn't supposed to be real. It was supposed to be a transaction. Money for silence. And now there's a life and I don't know." "I know." He looked up, and the expression on his face was impossibly complicated. Relief. Fear. Wonder. Guilt. All of it swirling together. "I know this isn't what you wanted. What I wanted doesn't matter anymore. It matters to me." He stood, moved closer. "Listen carefully. From this moment, you're under my complete protection. My personal security team will be assigned to you. You'll move to a safe house I own. Everything you need will be provided. My wife will never touch you. I swear it. She'll figure it out eventually. She's not stupid. Let her." His voice turned to ice. "She made her choice. She wanted to watch my bloodline die. Instead, she's going to watch it continue through you." His hand moved toward her stomach, then hesitated. "May I?" Zara nodded. His palm pressed gently against her still flat belly, and something shifted in his expression. Something that looked dangerously close to tenderness. "I'll protect you both," he murmured. "No matter what it costs." The next months were surreal. Zara moved into a luxury safe house with security that rivaled military installations. A personal doctor made house calls twice weekly. Everything she needed appeared before she could ask. And Tae-yoon visited regularly, not often, too risky but enough. They'd talk for hours. She learned he'd wanted to be an architect before his father's death forced him into the family business. That he loved old noir films. That he'd never wanted this life of violence and power. He learned about her dream of opening a restaurant. Her love of painting, her parents' struggles in Ghana. Slowly, impossibly, something grew between them. Something neither had planned for. Something real. At 5 months, her belly began showing. Tae-yoon arranged her resignation with a generous severance package. Mrs. Young didn't even notice she was gone. But at 6 months, everything shattered. Tae-yoon arrived at the safe house one evening, blood on his cuff, cut above his eyebrow. "We have a problem. My wife knows. She's coming. Tonight." They barely made it to the car before the ambush. Mrs. Young's hired killers, professional and merciless. The chase through Busan streets was a nightmare of screeching tires and gunfire. They ended up at another property, a coastal house Tae-yoon owned. "We'll be safe here," he said, checking the security systems. "My team is on the way." But Mrs. Young had anticipated that. She arrived within the hour, armed men flanking her. Which brought them to now. To bullets and blood, and Tae-yoon carrying Zara to the panic room. "Stay here," he ordered, his hands gentle despite his urgency. "Don't come out until I come for you."
Tae-yoon, no.
"Don't leave me, I have to end this. Now. Before she hurts you. Before she hurts our son." He pressed his forehead to hers. "I love you. I didn't plan to. I didn't want to. But I do." Zara's eyes filled with tears. "I love you too. Please don't die." "Not planning on it." He kissed her softly. "Stay here. Protect our child." Then he was gone. Zara waited in the panic room, listening to gunfire above. Each shot felt like a knife to her heart. Then silence. Terrible silence. The door opened. Tae-yoon stood there, alive, bleeding but alive. "It's done. She's gone. Fled the country. If she ever returns, she'll be arrested." He pulled Zara into his arms. "It's over." But 3 weeks later, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Congratulations on surviving, Mrs. Young. Unfortunately, she was just the opening act. The real players are coming now. And they're very interested in that child you're carrying. Sleep well." Zara showed Tae-yoon the message. His face went pale. "What does this mean?" she whispered. "It means the families know. And they're coming to decide whether they'll accept our son as my heir." He pulled her close. "It means the real fight is just beginning." Outside the safe house, a black car sat in the shadows. Inside, a figure watched through binoculars and smiled. The game was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun. If you made it this far, you're part of something special. Zara and Tae-yoon's story doesn't end here. The council is coming. New enemies are emerging from the shadows. And the fight for their son's future is about to begin. But here's what I need from you right now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because part 2 is dropping soon, and trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next. We're talking about power plays you won't see coming, betrayals that will leave you speechless, and a love that refuses to die no matter how many bullets fly. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you think Zara and Tae-yoon can protect their son from the council? What do you think the council wants? And who do you think is really pulling the strings in Busan? I read every single comment, and some of you have theories that blow my mind. If you loved this story, smash that like button. Share this with someone who loves dark romance, forbidden love, or stories where love literally has to fight to survive. Your support keeps these stories coming. And here's a question for you. Would you risk everything for love? Would you make the same choice Zara made? Let me know in the comments. Part 2 is coming soon, and I promise you, the action, the romance and the danger are about to go to a whole new level. The council thinks they can control Tae-yoon. They think they can use his son as leverage. They're about to learn why you never threaten a man who's already lost everything and found it again. This is just the beginning. Stay tuned. Stay subscribed. And get ready for part 2. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep believing in love that breaks all the rules.